DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool. Tonight's DJNTV show is sponsored in part by Electro Voice, DJ Event Planner, ADJ, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, Numark, and DJNTV Insiders.
Okay, well, we are live. There we go. I can find the volume there, Dan, so I can turn that down a little bit.
Just mute it for a second.
Yeah.
Just for the record, sober DJ.
Sober DJ.
Drunk DJ.
Hey, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Love the shirt. All right, man. Good.
We also want to thank Disc Jockey News. Shady is here from Disc Jockey News. You can find her every week on Disc Jockey News on the Monday night segment. She's live right now on Disc Jockey News. Everyone please face the camera. Wait a minute. She's live right now. Greatly appreciate it. Come on, if you want to stream bingo card. Charlie's got a pen over there.
So, Shane's coming to us live right now from Midwest DJs Live.
Oh my!
Let's
Good.
flip back to our camera. There
I'm
we go.
going back by the bathroom.
That's a safe spot. Back by the restrooms.
The bathroom's a safe spot for me.
Which was worse, stalking Shaney or peeping Tom Shaney? I don't know which is going to be key.
I don't know. I'm at Milwaukee, so I don't know.
It's a toss up there. So thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight's show is kind of a little bit different. Midwest DJs Live is going on in Milwaukee tonight, and that's where Shaney's at. And Dan and I are coming to you from our offices, and we're going to talk for a couple minutes about what went on today at Midwest DJs Live, and then after that, we're going to get into some gig talk. So Shaney, give us the update. What happened on day one?
Yeah, so I was finally able to actually sit in on seminars for I think for the first time. And I wasn't on a showroom floor, which actually I was able to go to the showroom floor. But seminars, for those that have never been to a conference, I really think I highly recommend to try to get to any conference you can. This conference had some incredible speakers today. Mike Walter opened up the show. Incredible speaker. Talked about emceeing, DJing, techniques, mixing, music. He always gives a great seminar. This seminar, again, was one of his, great seminars. That was a great one for me. Another great one for me, Mr. Jim Cerrone.
Oh, yeah.
Knocked it out of the park. Music, I could hear him talk about music all the time. I literally could just sit there, and I wish Jim Cerrone would honestly come out with his own conference.
He's a talented, very talented.
I would pack a picnic basket and just sit there and listen to the Jim Cerrone conference and listen to him I would bring all the Purell he would want and just hear him talk about music and mastering all types of music and the history of music and all things. He did a great seminar. Jamie did an incredible seminar. I'm trying to think of I was there for everything. Howard Wallach did a seminar about just with having your team and being a team player with everybody you work with and just treating them the right way and everything. Rob Peters did a seminar, and it wasn't even about, bubble parties or anything. So anyone who thought that he was doing a seminar about kid stuff, it actually wasn't a seminar about that. So he did a marketing seminar, which was great. I'm trying to think like everybody. I don't have like the seminar list, but I'm trying to think all the pictures I sent you of like everybody.
I think I think you hit most of them.
Yeah, I mean, I hit all of them. I'm trying to think everybody. I can't even think of everybody because I was in there for all of them. Who else? I don't have the list in front of me.
I think you got them all.
It's been a really, really long day.
Yeah, I think you had them all. Rob Peters.
Maria, I can't pronounce her last name, and I just became friends with her.
Oh, yeah. She wrapped up today.
She wrapped up, did a keynote speaking seminar. It was great. Talked about traveling and everything. She's actually going to be DJing later with Brian. They're going to be doing a little set. She did a great seminar. I love seeing females that knock it out of the park and know what they're talking about. So it was great to see her up there. So day one was incredible. Everybody, I think, took home some great nuggets. Day two, which I can't stay for because I actually have to get back to work. But who's speaking? Jerry, DJ Jer's going to be speaking about some light stuff. Bill Herman's going to be speaking. Dave O'Canada is going to be speaking.
Dave Tournier, yep.
Some great people are going to be speaking tomorrow, and I know they gave me some crap that I'm going to be missing their seminars, but it's going to be great tomorrow. I'm upset I have to leave, but there's more people speaking tomorrow. So I know I haven't been to this one before, but they definitely have stepped up from what I heard. And I know next year they're going to keep stepping up, and they're going to keep stepping up. So this conference, for anyone that can get to this conference, it's definitely a conference that people might want to think about who have never thought about going to a conference before.
Sure.
It's definitely one that should be on people's radar. So this one is one for the knowledge books people.
Yep.
It's definitely, and they went around the room today. I found out there was somebody that came in from England.
Wow.
God bless her. She flew in from England to come to this. So I think she gets like 10 bonus points for that, for coming in. But this conference is getting there from where I heard that they started.
Yeah,
so
it's really come on.
This is definitely one for the seminar books for people to go to.
Shane, let's talk about the seminar room now, because I've seen some pictures that you've sent out, and we put a lot of Shane's pictures. They went up on our Instagram and Facebook page today. But talk about that seminar room and the stage or the setup in front.
Yeah, they stepped up. The sound system was brought to you by Evie. So they have the Evolves in there. And honestly, they just have 2 Evolves. So a lot of those big rooms, they usually, I know people do like a 4-speaker sound system. They just have two Evolves in there. And it sounds so good in there. It's not mind-blowing, and I'm sure they could probably turn it up in there, and they don't need to. It sounds crisp in there. The mics sound awesome. The music sounds great. So to me, the sound is perfect in there. They have the 2 screens that are going. Well, they actually have 3 screens because they have the middle screen that has their logo on it, and then the 2 screens that have the PowerPoints and everything. And it looks great.
Yeah. The
big stage across the whole entire circumference of the floor. It looks, to me, from what I've seen pictures of before of the conference, they definitely stepped it up in the room. And I know some people are a little salty who have spoken at this conference before, and we're like, hey, that stage didn't look like that when I spoke there. I had a pop-up screen. I didn't have a stage like that. So they definitely have brought it now to a nice, to me, it looks like a national conference stage because I produce conferences. Mm-hmm. So it definitely looks like a nice national conference stage. They do have, if people want a lav mic, they could have a lav mic on stage, the handhelds, so it definitely, they got the sound tech in the back. They got the videographers. So I don't know if they're videotaping for later for people to buy it or look at it later. I don't know what they're doing. They did even give the dates out for next year. So they did promote the dates for next year and everything. So their game is tight. I do have to say.
Very good.
They're stepping it up here at the conference at Potawatomi. I just like saying that because I know how to pronounce it. Potawatomi.
Potawatomi. At one of the few casinos in the area there in Milwaukee,
yes.
outside of Milwaukee. Shani, what do you guys got going on tonight? What are you headed off to after you get done here?
So, you mean like with the Midwest DJ Live or me personally?
Well, you're going to go make an appearance, and what are they doing in the room there behind you?
So, behind me, you know what they're doing in this room, but I can't show you that.
The other behind you.
And that's a whole nother story. You don't want that collect call walking.
Yeah, no.
So, in the room they're doing a little DJ spin-off type thing that's going.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
We were doing so well.
So they got some, they're just for all the DJs. That's tonight because I know for some reason this conference likes to start early. For those who don't know, Mike Walter, his seminar started at 8:30 in the morning.
I saw that, and he was up at 5:30.
Well, you're not partying all night like in Atlantic City or Vegas.
Yeah,
this is Milwaukee.
This is Milwaukee.
You just have to get up and milk the cows, and you're ready for.
Yes, I believe he did get his run in though. I think he did get his morning run in.
Oh. Well, Shani, thank you very much for the update and such on the show. I'm going to let you go here because your connection is starting to get a little sketcy there. Okay. So,
but, I paid for the connection, so it might be, my time limit's up on my quarter, whatever it was.
Great update from the show. Good stuff there. And thank you for the pictures.
All right, bye, guys. I'll see you on a normal computer
we'll
next
see you
week.
next time. Sounds great. Thank you much.
All right, bye.
Bye. Well, that's pretty cool. I am bummed. I really was looking forward to going to the show this year, and
it definitely seemed like there was more hype about it. And I don't know if I always felt from when I was hearing about the show, it was more of almost like a cult following. Like the guys that it was their local show, very similar to like the ARM show, where the ones that go to it are the ones that always go to it. But it definitely seemed I was hearing more about it. And then you were talking about the stage, or she was talking about the stage, and then even the lighting, like they did a truss cross lighting with, moving heads set up and stuff like that for the speakers. Definitely seemed a lot improved.
It really was. I mean, not that they did a nice job last year when Lori and I were there for the first time, but boy, it was like that's front of the room. And I don't think Shani didn't. I don't think she explained it quite, or not explained it quite as well. That was a pretty impressive setup because that center is a big LED screen. It looked like at least a 12-foot LED screen there. And then you had two of the projection screens on the side. That's some pretty major stuff for a DJ convention. I mean, you get that at a big convention where you're going to be spending, $500 to $1,000 a ticket. It's finally getting warmer in the office here. So I didn't turn the heat on in here because, it was one of those, it's supposed to be summer. It was 71 degrees outside and it's 65 in here, and I didn't want to turn the heat on. So,
I can't blame you.
Good
I've got a blanket
stuff.
just in case.
Yeah, precisely. Throw that over the legs and such. So we're going to spend a few more minutes here. We're going to talk about I had a couple of proms that went on this past weekend, so I want to talk a little bit about those and kind of catch up and see what Dan's been doing for events here in the last couple of weeks. And then we're going to be sharing the link and such and make the rest of the show a hangout once we shut YouTube down here, and that'll go in just a few minutes that we'll get that link out. We just didn't want to have everyone's kind of standing around because we knew that when Shani was coming in, it was going to be louder and the hearing and with other mics and such, it would have been just more difficult. So we just decided to do that tonight. So Saturday, Dan, my 15-year-old did his first prom.
Is that now? I'm just curious. That was the one that it was like the two of you took a quick shot of.
No, that was actually my 16-year-old who was at his prom. So my junior in his school, I DJ'd their prom at his school. So that was the first prom that he had a date at. So Brandon had a young lady with him, and he was at his prom. And then over at another neighboring school, Lori and Michael's my 15-year-old, for those of you who heard the Dusky Bro song, that he's the young man who made that song. So he's and Lori are up there doing that. Well, I found out that he's really, really good, and the kids really, really like him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. I shouldn't say surprising, but it was a pleasant realization that his practice and his time of kind of watching some of MJ's videos and doing different things, and then I'd give him a few ideas and thoughts and such, and he took it to heart, and he really put some things to that and did well. So
was the plan all along for him to play, or was it kind of for him to be more of still like, all right, you're coming along, you're learning, Lori's going to take the front seat for this? Initially,
when we first came up with the idea, is he hadn't at that time really done anything he had been practicing. He let's see, we go back to the dance competition last fall. That was actually his first time of being out in public. And he was doing some things there. And it's like, okay, you could see that he had some skill in that area. Okay, so we got some skill with that. Let's kind of, see and maybe where it happens. But Lori, of course, has done the DJ thing. She just hasn't played with virtual DJ, which Michael did. So it's like, okay, between a combination in December, I think I could get a functional DJ. Lori's got the knowledge of everything but virtual DJ. Michael knows virtual DJ, so the two could work together. Then Michael continued to practice. Then he starts watching some of MJ's Wednesday night shows. Continues just practicing. Then he books his own dance at the school in which Brandon, where they go, he books his own school dance. So he went and did that. And I was there the whole night, and he did a great job with that and made some really tight mixes that night that were like, ooh, wow, I couldn't do that when I was 48. So it was great to see. So then at that point, then it kind of changed a little bit. Now, instead of him being there to more of an assistant to Lori, we're going to turn it around and make her more of an assistant to him, because he now was very competent in his mixing and music selection, because he was so into the more modern rap music and such. And he's, again, playing clean edits of the songs, so we can do that. Lori said he played eight of those songs in a row. He did a quick edit mix of those 8 songs, and they were so tight. She goes, I didn't even realize that they were a different song until Michael told her. Yep, we're in the next song. But he's been putting time into it. So does the show, and he's got teenage, and again, he's 15. Now proms, what are they, 17 and 16, 17, 18 year olds. So he was worried at first that, well, geez, these are kids, these are big, high schoolers, that because he's a freshman and these are, juniors and seniors. He thought for sure that they were going to be like, what's this little kid doing? Yeah, they had no idea to a point by his performance how old he was. And when they came up later and were asking, hey, how old are you? They're like, no way. You can't be that. Because again, he had a combination of the skill because of his practicing and learning and what have you, and he had the tools to do. Not too many 15-year-olds are walking around with the Denon at 8,000.
Yeah,
there's that too. And it was a good night. He had a better dance than I did that night, and I think there was a few different reasons for it. One, he had his school has a little bit more of a combination of there's some Latin students in that school, Hispanic students in that school, where I didn't have any of that. So basically, I had in my school, the school I was performing, is more of a country, rural school, whereas they're still kind of a little bit larger school, but you have a school that has had that influence from the Latin music, so that the kids. Despacito. You could play that there, and they would know it, and they've all sang along to it a gazillion times. Over in a school I was performing at, they would be like, "What's this? Oh, this is that song that they were talking about on YouTube." Yeah, no, we don't like that. Can we play some Hank Williams again, please? Clay Atkins was requested. Johnny Cash was requested. Conway Twitty was requested. At a prom. And ironically, I played the Conway Twitty, and we had, I think, 20 couples out there dancing to the Conway Twitty song. And it just, not that I did a couple of other country songs, but oh my.
There's country and there's old country, for lack of better terms. And wow.
Yeah. It was something. But again, there was some newer music and such. It was good, but they danced pretty hard from about 9:00 until about 10:45. And then about that time is when the kids start to realize that, wait a second, We've got from this, then we have to go to post-prom. And post-prom is all about participating in as many games as possible in that 3-hour block to get as much fun money so then you can buy things in the auction. So then you have kids that are like, oh man, I'm tired. I'm just going to veg here for a little while, getting ready for the post-prom. I'm starting to really not like proms that have that post-prom, because next weekend we're doing another prom, and that school basically they take them somewhere, I believe, and they go eat, and then they bus them over to this facility. We do the dance, and they bus them back to the school and send them on their way. No post-prom, and these kids basically are there, and they're going to put their heart into it for the dance. And it's a larger school district, so they're going to have I've done numerous dances for them, in a more of a modern urban type of a feel with the music mix. It'll be fun. Actually, what I'm doing for next weekend is I'm switching things up, and I was going to DJ it myself, but I think I'm going to have Michael do it, and I'll be his assistant for the night, and just let him go.
Awesome.
So that will be fun. That will be.
I like
fun.
that idea for the proms. Around here, it's everybody shows up when they show up. A lot of the schools might have a policy that you need to be in by within the first half an hour or whatever. You don't get in, but it's when they decide that they want to leave, they're going to leave, and there's not post-prom parties or like as far as like sanctioned type of thing.
Sure.
The post-prom parties are all right. We're all going to my buddy's river lot, and somebody's going to watch out for the cops, and the rest of us are going to hang out all night. Those type of parties, So it's what ends up happening. It was very interesting. Like I've done some, and getting them there the whole night is awesome. And then I've done other ones where like it was ours are usually done by 10 because of curfew and that kind of thing.
Wow.
And it was like 9:30 and the place was empty.
What time do they start?
7.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah.
So 7 to 10 is usually about the top. We Cinderella license, if you will. It's not even Cinderella anymore. It's 11 o'clock. They cannot be on the road past 11. So if they're, unless they're 18, but because most of them are not, or there's a chance that they could not be, they ended at 10, so that even though the kids are cleaning up from the prom, can be out and done before 11.
In the chat room, if you guys have got something similar with, if you're doing proms and such, what are the hours? Ours went to midnight in both cases. No, excuse me, 11:30. They would let the kids out of Long Prairie, where Michael was, because they needed the kids to go. The ones that wanted to go home to change and come back, they had to be back by 12 o'clock because they locked the door. Mine went till midnight. If you guys do those, so the kids are gone by 10. Even the ones where they didn't have a post prom, generally the schools have quote locked them in until the end, and then they'll have we're going to be giving away 10 $100 gift certificates type of a thing at the end, so that way the kids can say, oh yeah, we got. But
usually the biggest killer is when they decide to do court. And I've tried to encourage them. I'm like, listen, save court for
explain court,
like at least like 9 o'clock, or even if we go court till like 9:30, like no, we need to do court at like 8. No, you don't. Like,
yeah, explain what court is for people.
Okay, so basically, guy girl going to be at some point they were voted on as far as who's the king or queen of the night, and so they'll bring everybody out, and that's court.
Mm-hmm. So. Do they do the crowning where they crown over the heads and then they drop it on one of again, and everyone's like, yay!
Yeah. Well, depending upon the crew. Like, so at the school I used to teach at, oh my gosh, it drug out. They would like hold it over the head, and then they go down here, and then they go over here, and it was like 3 minutes later before they finally put it on somebody's head. Mm-hmm. The other one, the one that I typically do, actually the school I teach at now, or the district I teach at now, they get everybody up there, and then they open an envelope and they go, and it is, and it's like that. So it's a little bit quicker, a little bit more to the point. Same respect, they have a few more couples up there. I'd say there's at least 6 or 7 couples that are vying for king or queen. And then you also have prince and princess, which would be the junior level. So
interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So we're getting all sorts of times here for those who are watching this in the after. Some are going to 11, some are going to 12, and they start any time of the evening. So do you have you get into wedding season yet, or where are you at for the year?
I'm in a holding pattern.
Okay.
It seems like I've had a couple charity events. Of course, we did the one that my own company does, the adult prom. And then I did another one for a local group in April. But I don't have any weddings until June. I have one other event in May. I have a prom that miscommunication, misfollow through on my own part. I thought they were booked, sent a contract out, realized we're about 3 weeks out from the prom, and I go, I don't have the contract back. Send a follow up. Oh yeah, we noticed that the date had passed for the contract, so we just went and hired somebody else.
Oh gee, ouch.
Like no, and it even says like, you know, unless prior arrangements are made, and so like they just think I mean. I got the event because of a connection. They'd never seen me. They never heard of me.
Sure.
In the same respect, the fact that I don't have it, it's not that big of a deal for me. It actually allows me to go camping with my son instead. But it was just, you know, it's kind of cool. Like I'm doing a lot more family stuff this spring than I typically would be doing. But yeah, it's been a weird holding pattern. So last night I was like, you know what? I got to get in there. I just got to mix. And I just grabbed my stuff and I did a free mix. Didn't have the songs queued, didn't have points in there. It didn't matter. I just played. It felt good.
And I hear there was this person online who did a mix and they forgot to click record. And I hear that's a frustrating thing.
No, I did record. I hit record. I forgot to hit save.
Oh, it was save.
Yeah. For those of you not familiar with Serato and the way they do it, you hit record. When you are done recording, you click the record button again. That will then stop it. But unless you then click the save button, I don't know where it goes.
It goes into the...
Yeah. It was not my finest hour, but in the same respect, it was one of those things. My family came home and they're like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Okay, pause the mix," and that's what happened.
Yeah, been there before. All of a sudden, there's lots of little voices in the background. Yeah. Okay, we're going to wrap things up in just a few minutes. Before we do that, I want to show you guys a few things that I used. I'm going to be doing a series of the back of the truck videos on some of these products that were used at the proms this past weekend, or things that are either unusual or new to me that were sent out. So, first off, a typical DJ, the smaller version of the light stand. This is an American DJ. This is the LTS 6, I believe it is. And I talked a little bit about this. I'm going to move it up so it can be seen. Is that I wanted to have something. I don't want to have to transport my totems. My totems take up a lot of space in my truck, but I wanted to have something that I could mount a light on. Well, what they did with the new generation of LTS 6 is that they put a little pin here that has the bolt on it, and that can have the treetop basically bolted on here. You can put your tree on there, or you can use this to go up and hold a light. Well, it's too deep of a bolt here. It's way too high to put anything for a real light on there. So I had to put a second nut on there and a washer. But what I used this for is I had two different lights that went on top of these. In one configuration, I put two of the mega flat parts, basically the plastic version of the 5-piece from American DJ, and we used these to illuminate down on the catwalk when the kids were, or the walkway when the kids were doing their grand march. So two were used for that, and the other two had the Chauvet DJ, the Rotosphere, the Q3, which is basically their big LED kind of like a mirror ball effect, but it has 3 different zones of LEDs in there, and it has, I believe it's RGBW LEDs in that. So I put those on top of these and put those up to about 9 feet tall, just because I wanted to see how they would be. And because it's that mirror or that ball, it didn't matter if it was going fast or slow. It was always, there was no shake to it, because it had the equal balance and such with that. So this is what I did with that one. Then I had a couple of movers. I've got some the Pocket Pros from ADJ, and I literally just unloaded the truck during Eric Wenning's convention series show. I got home Saturday and I was shot because it was 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. when I got home. Then Sunday, I wasn't doing a darn thing. So this is one of the Pocket Pros from American DJ, and I can maybe show you. There you go. You can see this. Is that this is one of the things, is that if that bolt is just too long, and you wouldn't be able to do it. So that's why it had to have that. Another thing I want to show you this is, and Howie's done a video where he uses these lights and he actually has a square pole that he goes through. Well, I don't have that, and I didn't want to do that because I want to mount these either vertical or I want them upside down. I didn't want to put them on the side just because I haven't practiced with them or played with them that way. So I had this. I wanted to mount it on the lightweight stands. It definitely shakes. So I needed something heavier duty. So I talked to my friend Brian talked about these a little bit, and then I chatted with my friend out at Colorado Sound and Light. This one is the heavier duty. It's got two different versions. One that goes on a speaker stand that uses the 1 3/8 end of the pipe. This one will use the 1.5 inch. The 1.5 inch one is a much heavier clamp on it. It will go on, and it becomes part of the speaker stand, where the 1 3/8, he said, has a little wobble to it. What it is basically is it has a threaded bolt or threaded nut, the nuts inside here, all glued in or sealed in there, and it doesn't come out. And then, of course, you can take your light, put the light on top, and you run a little bolt through there, and you're good to go. Now, the big thumb screws that he puts on there are about that big, and they're square. I don't know why you would have something that big. I mean, the only thing it was good for was like floodlights, if you had the PAR type lights. Didn't work. So I was looking at different versions, and they had some nuts or some bolts with a hex head on it, a typical bolt that you could use there. I don't want to have tools. I don't want to have wrenches. So I went to Amazon and picked some of these up. These things are like $17 for half dozen of them. They're incredibly expensive, but I wanted to have some that weren't going to break. There were some cheap ones out there that were, 10 for $2. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I put that up there, and it's probably all just plastic, kind of glued to the end of the thing, and as soon as you tighten it up, it's going to, and there's my light falling on the floor. Not cool. Put this on. I had two of the Pocket Pros at about 9 feet high. I had two of them at 7 feet high. On one, the back two were on light stands. The other two were on speaker stands. And they were there. There was a little bit of movement. You could tell that they were moving, but it worked just incredibly wonderful up there. So I had, in essence, 6 lights at 7 feet or greater without having to carry tripods or the truss totems, which would have taken up half of my truck. Instead, I had 4 things like this and two of the regular speaker stands. 4 things like this and 4 regular speaker stands, and that was what worked. So I was actually pretty happy with that. It was pretty cool.
Now, was this past weekend the one that you were doing a whole bunch of stuff around the side as well?
Yes.
Or is that one coming up?
Nope, that was that one.
Okay.
So that was the one where we had, let's see. I think I can show this a little bit if I can hold that up there. This was a shot of the one that Michael and Lori did. And we could only do the back or the uplighting on one wall in that particular gym. And the reason for that is that on the other end is because of the late spring, all the baseball gear was pushed up against the wall. So they're having their dinner in the room with all that. This is a better shot. What we did is we alternated. The white dots are the moving head fixtures, and then the other is the 5 Ps. So we did moving head, 2 uplights, and continued to work our way down. And trying to get to a shot of. So this was a shot of what Michael was using for his sound system. He's using the EKX, the 18 subs and the 15 tops, and then we had the little box things that we put on top of a tripod. And he had the coolest lights in that particular show is that there were 8 of these Z4s, which are the flood. They can be a flood or a kind of a wash or a beam, and that was a really cool effect. Actually, I'm going to be running this light show next weekend because I want to reprogram it. Because now that there's 8 of them, it's like, ooh, I can do some really cool things with it. Oh, and this selfie, we did a little selfie, one of those ring selfie booths there with the iPad, and had a couple of tables of props and such, and the kids thought that was great. And you can tell how much the kids like it because on Snapchat the next day, it's all. My son is like, all my friends had pictures from last night. I don't have the collapsing trusses. I have the ones I have are the top plate and the bottom plate, and it's the individual tubes. And I have the 2 meter tubes. I should have probably gotten 1 meter tubes, and then I could have put them together, and that would have made it much nicer for transporting in my truck. But I didn't get those. And then this is one of the gym walls that I was working with. And that is alternating all the way down, moving head, up light, moving head, up light, all the way down. So for some of the shots, I was able to do, and you can kind of see in that one where the moving headlight is kind of at an angle. But some of the shots we were able to have it so you couldn't tell from moving head or which one was going on. Yeah, do I have one that's going faster? But yeah, we just had it, at one of the basic scenes where we just had the moving heads just kind of waving back and forth in a nice slow pattern. As this is one of the things we were doing as the families were arriving, so it gave them a little bit of a look. We were planning up to, because we weren't exactly sure how the lights were going to lay out in the gym, we were planning to have up to 48 fixtures in that gym, and it turns out I think we were about 36, somewhere in that ballpark is what we could use, because there was a section where they have the recording up in kind of the media box in the bleachers, and we couldn't do anything up there because we were setting things on the back end, the top of the bleachers, because that worked well. But it was definitely cool. The biggest thing I learned from that is my favorite little light control, the Airstream DMX bridge here, which I brought one up here. I love that, but with that many lights, how cool would it have been to have each and every one of those moving heads, which I think there were 6, 14, yeah, there must have been about 20 moving heads in that configuration. How cool would it have been to have individual controls so I could have had them go like, they would have gone ding, 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 ding as they went down, and then boom, boom, back and forth, and you could have chased them back and forth. I didn't realize how much I wanted that effect until the show started. Same thing with the uplights. It's like, oh, if I could have done that, where I could have had could have done a white and go around the room, it'd have been like, ooh, that's so cool. So, yes, for next year, if they hire me back, I'm going to break down and I will program a full show just for that gymnasium with some traces and such.
Wow.
The other thing I used for the first time is I had a company sent out. And I've never gotten the DMX, it's from the first fixture to the second fixture and such, but a company sent out a DMX amplifier splitter. And Ben has talked about things like this in the past. This is just an inexpensive one. It goes 1 in, 8 out. And I thought, well, why would a person really ever want something like that? Well, in this particular configuration, I decided I would give it a try to test it. So I came out of the DMX or the Airstream bridge into the splitter, and I ran to one tree. Then I ran to the other tree. Then the other, and I ended up using 6 of the 8. And just the amount of wire that I was saving from having to go up into the tree and then coming back down the tree and then going over to the next tree. And I was going to do, because I've got some of these, everyone's talked about them, these wireless Donner DMX little dongles. And I've got a set of those that were sent out a couple of years, maybe last year, whatever. So I was going to try that also. Well, I was having frequency interference with those for some reason, and I wasn't getting a good signal with that. Now, up in Long Prairie, I used those there 2 years ago, and they worked wonderfully. That's what they came out. I used them there for the first time. I had the first tree, and then the first tree was run off the DMX, and then the last light went into the transmitter, and then that transmitted to the second tree, and that transmitted to the right wall uplights and the back wall uplights. So there were actually 4 different receivers and one transmitter. Worked flawlessly. Couldn't get those things to work in upsell at all. It's like, yeah. So then use that, and it's like, this is really cool. So I don't know how confident I am in I'm going to say this little device is like $50 or something, maybe $30. I don't know. Like the idea, now I'm going to go buy a real one, because I don't want to trust because I had it set up so that if this flopped on me, I could go and I could plug into all the different lights and I could continue on. I had the cabling all set, ready to go in case that was the case. But that splitter, I liked that a lot. So the other thing is I had picked up some of the American DJ, the Mega Flat Pars. They're a hex light. Again, they're like the 5P, but they're plastic version. What I found out is that we set up on Wednesday, ran the light show for probably 2 hours. Beautiful, no problems. Came back Thursday, started it up. One side of the gym was perfect. The other side didn't go on. Oh crap, what's wrong? So is a wire bad? They were all new DMX wires on that run. So what's wrong? We are unplugging things. And then all of a sudden it started to work. And it worked for the rest of the, we were there for about an hour. Thursday worked well. Came back Saturday, plugged everything in, started it up. That one wall wasn't going. So that's when I took the Donner out again. And it's like, well, maybe I can make the Donner work from the highest light here to over there. And it didn't work. Then maybe this is it. Turns out that after trial and error of different things, I finally decided that it's got to be, there must be a bad wire in that run somewhere from the splitter up and around. So I went and I do the first uplight, or the first was a moving head. So I unplugged everything beyond it. Uplight worked, great. Plugged it back in. Jumped down 2 lights, unplugged. All 3 lights worked, great. Jumped down 2 more, unplugged. All 5 lights worked, great. Plugged back in, and each time I plugged back in, turns out the very last wire in that row of 16 lights or 17, 18 lights that are on that side, the very last wire from the second to last fixture to last fixture was a bad wire. Now, ironically, that wire was one of the free ones you get when you buy a kit of lights.
Of course. Of course.
It's like, buy these 2 lights and get free cables. And of course, it's like, okay, so the lesson of today, free is never free. Yeah. Oh, that was quite a deal.
See, I thought you were going to get to all that and you're going to say, I forgot to put a Terminator on the end of it.
I have never used a Terminator, and I know, and Ben and I have talked about this, and I've asked him, and he's like, yeah, sometimes it's nice, and sometimes. So I actually had them send some Terminators down. So I had a couple of Terminators to use in runs, and I thought about that. I had that in hand, thinking, well, if I get up there and start unplugging, and it does, I get to the end and nothing. So I'm thinking as I'm getting that the last light, I'm reaching into my pocket ready to grab the Terminator, and I unplugged it, and that all worked, and then I plugged it in, and it didn't. It's like, let me try this cable first. Click, click. Lights were good. Yeah, so I'm going to have to go to my DMX 3.0 or 3 will be my next thing. But then I was thinking about it. It's like, okay, so each of the uplights takes like 14 channels. So if I have 20 uplights, there's 380 channels. Then those Q4s, I think, take like a dozen channels. Then the 5B takes up a dozen channels. I may end up I may fill up my 512 universe real.
Not may. I think you already have.
It's like, goodness gracious. But in order to be really cool, yeah, that's what you've got to do. So yeah, that was it. I'm going to be going through, I've got a few other pieces of gear that I'm going to be doing some videos from the back of the truck here and covering some of the things that we use, because I bet there was 8 different things that we used for the first time, or we used them in a different way, and I want to talk about those in depth in some individual videos. So that will be coming later this week. Tomorrow's an off day for me because I will be out of the office pretty much all day, and then we'll see what happens later in the week. So cool.
Definitely.
And let's see, next week we've got Shaney will be back, and we'll be kicking off our first show in May. Wow, goodness gracious, time is flying for us.
That's a good thing.
It is.
I'm ready for warmth. I'm ready for some fun. Yeah. Give me summer.
Yeah, isn't that they had the 70 degrees out, and the kids were out there like, it's hot. It's like, yeah, you kids are wimpy. Back when
we were 70 and we were still in jackets at the ball field tonight. It was crazy.
I think we've just been so cold all spring. It hasn't been sub-zero for quite a while, but it's just been cold. So, Well, gang, we're going to wrap this part of the video up. We're going to shut this down, and I'm going to put the link for the Zoom, which you guys can join us here and chat here for the rest of the evening. I'm going to put that into the chats and such, so you guys can bounce out and join us, and we will be there for the rest of the evening. Thank you for watching. If you're watching us afterwards, yeah, it was a good weekend. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.
Tonight's DJNTV show is sponsored in part by Electro Voice, DJ Event Planner, ADJ, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, Numark, and DJNTV Insiders.